What is up, everybody? My name is Gus Bus, and welcome to my YouTube channel.
Gus Bus.
What is up, gang? We are back today with another inventory video. I had a request on the channel for a brown inventory, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Like usual, all the prices are from Skin Search. They take listings from all the biggest marketplaces to find you the best deal. I'm trying to make these intros shorter, so I'll stop yapping and let's get right into the video. Starting off with the CZ Auto, we have the Distress, which will cost you around 20 cents in factory new. And the Circadius, which will cost you around 40 cents in factory new. Onto the Deagle, we have the Mutter, which will cost around 40 cents in factory new. The Oxide Blaze, which is around 25 cents in factory new. The Bronzed, which is around $4 in factory new. And the Naga, which is also around $4 in factory new. Onto the dualies, we have the Oil Change, which come in around 5 cents in souvenir factory new. The Driftwood, which are also around 5 cents in souvenir factory new. And the Pyre, which are around $34 in factory new. Onto the 5.7, only one really good option here, and that's going to be the Buddy, which costs you around $1.15 in factory new. Onto the Glock, this is the Death Rattle, which will cost you around 5 to 10 cents in factory new. The Race, which will cost you around 15 cents in Battle Scarred, it's darker with a higher float. Another Oxide Blaze skin for around 25 cents in factory new. The Weasel for around $2 in factory new. And the Wasteland Rebel for around $4 in factory new. Onto the P2000, we have the Panther Camo, which will cost you around 10 cents in souvenir factory new. And the Lifted Spirits, which will cost you around 15 cents in factory new. Onto the P250, we have the Black and Tan, which will cost you around 25 to 30 cents in souvenir factory new. And the Gunsmoke, which will cost you around $3.50 in minimal wear. Onto the Revolver, we have the Inlay, which will cost you around 10 cents in factory new. The Bone Forge, which will cost you around 15 cents in factory new. And the Desert Brush, which will cost you around 75 cents in factory new. Onto the Tech 9, we have the Slag, which will cost you around 25 cents in factory new. The Cracked Opal, which will cost you around 50 cents in factory new. The Brother, which will cost you around 90 cents in factory new. The Mummy's Rot, which will cost you around $1.50 in factory new. And the Rust Leaf, which will cost you around $25 in factory new. Lastly, for the pistols, we have the USPS starting off with the Desert Tactical for around 50 cents in factory new. And the Business Class for around $43 in factory new. Onto the SMGs, we have the Mac 10 Sienna Damask for around 3 cents in souvenir factory new. The Calf Skin for around 10 cents in factory new. The Commuter for around $20 in factory new. And the Hot Snakes for around $190 in factory new. Onto the MP5, we have the Dirt Drop for around 3 cents in factory new. And I guess you could go with the Desert Strike for around 20 cents in factory new. For the MP7, we have the Prey for around 5 cents in souvenir factory new. The Sunbaked for around 10 cents in factory new. And the Gunsmoke for around $10 in factory new. I guess you could also do the Scorched for around $10 in factory new, but I'm leaving out a lot of the Scorched skins. For the MP9, not a lot of great solid brown skins, but you could go with the Sand Dash for around 5 cents in factory new. Or the Music Box for around 60 cents in souvenir factory new. Onto the PP Bison, we have the Death Rattle for around 50 cents in factory new. The Irradiated Alert for around $13 in factory new. And the Antique for around $12 in factory new. Onto the P90, we have the Desert DD Pat for around 3 cents in souvenir factory new. The Cocoa Rampage for around 70 cents in factory new. Definitely more green, but has a lot of brown on it. The Shapewood, which is around 90 cents in Battle Scarred. I think it looks exactly the same. The Scarab Rush, which is around $9 in factory new. The Leather, which is also around $9 in Battle Scarred. And the Souvenir Run and Hide, which is around $9 in Battle Scarred as well. Onto the UMP, we have the Mutter. Definitely a little bit greener than brown, but still a little brown. It's around 3 cents in factory new. Another Gunsmoke skin for around 10 to 15 cents in factory new. The Mechanism for around 50 cents in souvenir factory new. And the Houndstooth for around $4 in factory new. Onto the shotguns, we're starting off with the Mag 7. We have the Rust Coat for around 3 cents in Battle Scarred. The Copper Coated for around 50 cents in Battle Scarred. And the Irradiated Alert for around $20 in factory new. Onto the Nova, we have the Dark Sigil, which will cost you around 20 cents in factory new. The Plume, which will cost you around $1 in factory new. The Gila, which will cost you around $1 in factory new. The Wild Six, which will also cost you around $1 in factory new. The Antique, which will cost you around $10 to $15 in factory new. And the Walnut, which will cost you around $20 in factory new. Onto the Sawed Off, we have the Spirit Board, which will cost you around 10 cents in factory new. The Clay Ambush, which will cost you around 50 cents in factory new. The Rust Coat, which will cost you around $2 in souvenir Battle Scarred. And the Mosaico, I don't know how you say it, but this will cost you around $24 in factory new. Onto the XM, we have another Oxide Blaze skin for around 10 cents in factory new. And we have the Irizumi, which is also around 10 cents in factory new. Onto the M249, not a lot of great options here. You could go with the Predator for around $1.70 in factory new, but I have been trying to stay away from the more, camo-ish patterns and skins. Onto the Negev, we have the Drop Me from the Recoil collection, which is around 20 cents in factory new. And I know I said I'm trying to stay away from the camo skins, but we have the Cali Camo, which is $2 in factory new. I'm sorry, it's just one of the only brown ones. Onto the AK, we have the Steel Delta in Battle Scarred for around $1.25. Then we have the Uncharted around the same price at $1 or $1.25 in factory new. Might as well have just included all the skins. This is the AK-47 Predator for around $46 in factory new. You could also go with a Cartel for around $20 in factory new. Or the Wasteland Rebel for around $175 in factory new. Onto the AUG, we have the Sweeper for around 3 cents in factory new. Then we got the Spalted Wood, which is also around 10 cents in factory new. The Plague for around $1.15 in factory new. Then we got the AUG Sandstorm, which is around $1.75 in Battle Scarred. And the Copperhead for around $98 in minimal wear. Onto the Op, we have the Mortice for around $1.15 in battle scarred. The Black Nile for around $1.50 in battle scarred. The Op Paw, which is around $3 in factory new. And if you want to spend $220, you can get the Snake Camo in factory new. Onto the FAMAS or FAMAS, we have another Cali Camo skin for around 10 cents in factory new. Then the Crypsis for around 50 cents in factory new. We got the Jin for around $1.50 in battle scarred. And the Doom Kitty, which is around $4 in minimal wear. Onto the G3, we have the Desert Storm, which will cost you around 5 cents in factory new. The Hunter, which will cost you around 20 cents in factory new. And finally, the High Seas for around $2.50 in factory new. Onto the Galil, we have the Akabin, which will cost you around 50 cents in factory new. And the Hunting Blind, which will cost you around $5 in souvenir factory new. Onto the M4A1S, we have the Mud Spec, which will cost you around 40 cents in battle scarred. And that's really it. You could go with the Fizzy Pop for around $2 in factory new, but it's a little bit more yellow than it is brown. Onto the M4A4, you have the Polymag for around 20 cents in factory new. The Etchlord for around 50 cents in battle scarred. The Griffin for around $4 in factory new. And the Desert Storm for around $33 in factory new. Or I guess you could get the Desert Strike for $5.50 in factory new. Onto the Scar 20, you have the Fragments, which is 3 cents in battle scarred. And that's pretty much it, unless you want to get the Sand Mesh for around 3 cents in factory new. Onto the SG, we have the Bleached for around 5 cents in souvenir factory new. Or you could go with the Triarch for $1.25 in factory new. And the Traveler for around $13 in factory new. Onto the Scout, we have the Prey, which is 3 cents in factory new. Then we got the Azure Glyph, which is 7 cents in battle scarred. To wrap up the weapon skins, we have the Mayan Dreams, which is $4 in factory new. Onto the gloves, we have the Hand Wraps Leather, and these will cost you around $156 in a decent float field tested, obviously really brown. Then we got the Driver Gloves Convoy, which will cost you around $95 in minimal wear. Have the the green and the brown on them, so it could pair it really nicely with the knife. The Driver Gloves Diamondbacks, a lot darker of a brown, but you can get a pair in field tested for around $110. The Bloodhound Gloves Snake Bite you can get for around $75 in field tested. Have a decent amount of brown on them. Then we got the Specialist Gloves Buckshot, which will run you around $65 in a decent float field tested. Really cool pair of gloves, and they have some brown in them too. Moto Gloves POW you can get in field tested for around $200, and they have a decent amount of brown on them, and they look pretty good. These look a little bit more green than I remembered, but these are the Hydra Gloves Rattler, which will cost you around $70 in minimal wear. Driver Gloves Overtake are around $85 for a decent float field tested pair, and obviously are very brown. Queen Jaguars are a super underrated pair of gloves, and they're only $105 for minimal wear. They are a lighter brown, but they still look awesome. Hand Wrap Desert Shema are only around $69 in field tested, and they look pretty cool, and they are very brown. And finally, we have the Sports Glove Big Game, and they're only around $200 in a good float field tested. Really underrated gloves. I think these look sick and obviously have a lot of brown in them. So starting off with the knives, I thought one that we could think about getting is actually a stiletto knife vanilla. I think it looks really good, and as you can see, it has a brown handle. Maybe not with these gloves, but I think it looks pretty decent with these gloves because the silver on the branch of the tree matches the knife blade, so pretty good option. You could go with something like a paracord scorched and minimal wear for around $90, but it's not my favorite combo, but I could see why you'd want to do it. It does have definitely some tan and brown hints. But what probably makes the most sense is getting a rust coat knife in Battle Scar. This is a falchion rust coat, which only costs around $83. Looks pretty good in my opinion. Or you could get something like the Karambit Black Laminate for around $750 in Battle Scar. It does kind of have a brown handle, so could look pretty nice with a specific pair of brown gloves, but that's if you have a lot of money to spend. So I realized when editing this that I had some audio issues, and I honestly didn't feel like going back and re-recording everything, so apologies for that. But thanks again everyone for the recommendations on what sort of videos to make. This isn't a video I thought people would really want to see, but I had a few people actually request it, so I went ahead and created it. So let me know what sort of inventory you want to see next, and I would be happy to make another video on it. But thanks again for checking it out, and I will see you again in the next one. Peace.